Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Church at Home with Rachael on Tuesday, the 26th of January, 2021. It is minus 22 degrees in Wainwright, so a little chilly, but a lovely day nonetheless. I hope you had a good night's sleep, and I hope that today gives you an opportunity to praise God, to worship Him, and to be present to Him. This morning, I've been working on getting up a little bit earlier before my husband and my dog get up so that I can have a little bit of time to walk on our elliptical and to say some prayers and do part of my daily office before I have to take the dog outside or make the coffee or do all of those other things that have to happen every morning. And it's been kind of nice. I've been doing that for a little while just to have a bit of quiet, a little bit of peace, shake up my routine. I'm a very routine-oriented person, so shaking up my routine it's a big step for me. But I think it's working. One of the things I did this morning was I did my daily devotional from Sarah Arthur's Coffee with God. And she was talking about being in Nairobi for one term of school. And some of her classes were in the city where it was incredibly busy and very, very loud. Lots of noise, lots of traffic, lots of blaring music. But some of her classes were outside of town, not very far away, but out in the grasslands. And she talks about one day wandering away from the school and finding a quiet rock upon which to sit and just listen and thinking how beautiful and quiet it would be, and then realizing that it was just as loud out there as it was in the city because she was busy in her head. She was too busy thinking and planning and to-do lists and what do I have to do now and telling God how she was feeling and all of those things that she wasn't able to realize the silence that is also prayer, the silence that is also the presence of God. And I got thinking about that, about how important that is. And it would seem that, with this pandemic, that silence is probably one of the easier things that we can find. And indeed, with Rob at work at the base and the dog's not much of a talker, my house is pretty silent. My office is quiet. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm quiet. Sarah's words really spoke to me this morning to recognize how often I fill up the silence. Quite literally, sometimes I'll put on a CD in my office. I've got a CD player here, and I've got some beautiful Gregorian chants and a group called Lady Miss that does chanted and sung masses, and they're beautiful, sort of medieval sounding music, church music. I have nature sounds. I have all kinds of country music and other things I can listen to. But I realize that when I do that, I am filling up a space that is already filled. God is present in the silence. And God is inviting me in the silence to be silent with Him. Not an easy thing to do when you feel like to be productive, you have to be moving all the time. Like sharks, if they stop moving, apparently they die. Sometimes I feel like that myself. If I'm not working, if I'm not doing something, then I must be doing something wrong. And that's not right. We are not called to be busy beavers. We are called to sometimes be busy, sometimes to be doing the work we're called to do. Other times the work we're called to do is to sit, to listen, to light a candle, and just be in the presence of God. Sometimes God doesn't say anything. Sometimes God is silent too. And we can learn from that silence. We can breathe and slow down our heart rate and be present to God in the silence. But we also, speaking of which, my watch just told me I need to breathe. It's very intuitive. But also, God can speak to us in the silence. So this morning, in the dark, sitting in the living room before the sun came up, before everyone was up, I lit a candle and I was saying some prayers. And I just took a few minutes to be silent. And I heard God speak. Now, yesterday I spoke about hearing the voice of God, hearing an audible sound. Today it wasn't that. It was more of a knowing, a sense that God was calling me to do something that I haven't done in a while. When I was 20, I was given a gift from God. I have a vivid imagination, and I can be creative when I need to be. And when I was 20, God gave me something that I believe that I have been working toward at God's behest since then. And it's sort of more of it's a retirement thing. It doesn't seem to be working itself out as during my working lifetime, but maybe it's a retirement thing. But I think about it every day. I work toward it. I pray about it every day, and have for the last 29 years. But today, I think God was saying to me, enough thinking, enough praying. Get back into it. Imagine it. Get your hands dirty. Hobby it up. I'm not a big person for hobbies. I read. I listen to music. I hang out with my husband and my dog. I have a simple life, and I do a lot of work. I like working. I love what I do as a priest. But I think that God was reminding me that the gift he had given me at 20, that was, I think, meant to be a lifetime gift, isn't going to become into fulfillment if I keep setting it aside, putting it on the back burner because I've got a sermon to write or a phone call to make, or the next thing that's happening. I had the distinct feeling that God was saying to me, you need to carve out some time every day to do some work on this, to really work toward this goal, this gift that I have given you. First, I thought, I'm nuts. I am looking for an excuse to just not do something. And then all of a sudden it was like, wait a minute. When God speaks, why would I laugh? Why would I say, I can't hear? When you are praying for wisdom and discernment, you're an idiot, I think, if you get some, or it appears to be some wisdom or discernment, and then you think to yourself, oh, but God wouldn't tell me that. God wouldn't speak to me. What's the point of praying for wisdom if you're going to throw it back in God's face? So I have my marching orders. Over the next while, I have some work to do. Good work, fun work, creative work to do. And I'll find time to do it. I will be attentive to that, to God's voice. But I wonder how much of our lives, I'm getting to know how much of my life I have wasted in the busyness of my head and listening to all of the noise out inside my head rather than listening to God's voice in the silence outside of my head. And I wonder if for you in your life, are you able to find time to just be quiet? I know that people are busy, and if you've got kids to carpool or you've got extra work to do, if you've got things to do, it's really hard to carve time apart for yourself. But it's really important that you do. Even if it's just 5 minutes to sit, light a candle, say a prayer, say the Lord's Prayer, or just say, God, I don't know how to pray, and then be quiet. If you need to, set a timer. I find that helps for me because if I don't set a timer, I could be sitting there for an hour and then my mind drifts and I end up thinking about something other than prayer. But I find a timer works really well for me. It helps me stay focused. It also allows me to know the freedom of knowing that I'm not playing hooky from life. I am taking time with God, and there will still be time for all of the things that have to get done in due time. So set a timer for 5 or 10 minutes and just take some time to listen, to allow the busyness, the noise that's in your head to fall away, and you can listen to the silence and be present to God. Now, I need to warn you, this is both an acquired taste and it's a discipline you have to work on. Most people are not going to find, myself included, that they really enjoy just sitting down for 5 minutes and sitting in silence and not thinking. Every time a thought comes in your head about the load of laundry or the thing you have to do for work or that phone call you're going to make, you got to push it away. Say, nope, this is my time with God, that will wait. If necessary, keep a piece of paper and a pen beside you and write those things down and leave them there on the paper. So it can be an acquired taste to find that this is a good thing in your life. Now, believe me, once you get going, you'll find it's not just a beautiful thing that you appreciate, it becomes something that you need in your life. The other thing is it's a discipline. You need to try to do it. You have to set the time aside and do it, even if it's just 5 minutes. So I invite you today to take some time with God to just listen. Set aside the busyness, the noise in your head, and just listen to God. And maybe God will lead you back to something He started in you years ago, something that brings you hope and peace and joy, something that you can look forward to even during this pandemic. So may God bless you and keep you. May you have a joyful and peaceful day, and may you find time to just be with God and banish the noise from your head. Have a wonderful day. I will see you tomorrow on Church at Home with Rachael.